Hey everybody, and welcome to a special wild ride where we're talking to arguably the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Yeah, that's right. Plus, probably the nicest mixed martial artist of all time. This guy is a legend, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, George St-Pierre. Yeah, dude. Now, I'd like you to meet my co-host, Scott Randolph.
How's it going, George?
And
hi, how are you? Good?
Good.
Very well, right on. And up at the front of the van, we have the gorgeous Paul Brisky.
Hey, George, how are you?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Before we do anything, let's wish the man a happy birthday. He's talking to us on his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Yeah, for 40 years old. My goodness.
The big 4-0.
Yeah. Big 4-0. Exactly. But you know what? Everything is closed here. So there's like a curfew. The restaurants are closed. Everything is closed. The gyms are closed. So there's nothing to do really much. So it doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean? So I just, my mom gave me a cake, and that's about it.
Okay.
All right, well, this will be your birthday party.
I don't quite understand why.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing my birthday party with you guys.
I love
It's
it,
an
man.
honor.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Is that a George St-Pierre?
That's epic.
Sorry.
But so why is everything closed, man? The world's opening up, dude. I got my second vaccination shot. You know, like
Well, it's because we're always behind you guys in Canada. Well, I'm from Montreal, so we're always late. What you guys have, we always have it late. So it sucks, but that's how it is, you know, I guess. We're always a few months behind you guys.
okay, so everything's been locked down for the whole time.
Yeah, they announced that it will open June in June, but only the outside
Patios.
seating areas for the restaurant.
Okay.
That's crazy. Quick question. If you
Yeah,
were,
man.
after a fight, you get seriously injured, would you rather go to a Canadian hospital or an American hospital?
Ooh, that's a good question.
American. When I blew my 2 ACL, I went to US, and the reason is, yes, in Canada the health system,
It's free.
the healthcare system is accessible to everybody, every citizen. However, they treat everybody the same. So a professional athlete, for example, my body is my instrument of work. So I will have the same treatment as a 70 years old lady. So that's why I went to US, because in US you pay for it, but you can have special treatment in order to rehab better and faster.
Okay.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, you know, like nobody has to pay for healthcare in Canada, but you know, you get the same medical care as some fucking asshole.
Some schmo off the street.
And you know what? You wait a very long time. Let's say you go to normally you go to for like something to the hospital. You have to wait for a very long time. So there's some advantages, but there's some bad issues with it as well.
Yeah, your appendix explodes and you're there for 8 hours just freaking out.
Oh yeah. It's bad. Yeah.
That's that Canadian patience.
I love. I mean, I really loved that question. Now, you're not haven't been inducted to the Hall of Fame yet. Is that correct? But this is a guarantee. You're the greatest of all time.
Thank you. I'm not sure about that. There's a lot of guys that can claim to be the GOAT. It's very subjective, as you know, to say that. But yeah, I'm inducted to the Hall of Fame, but the party has not happened yet because of COVID.
Okay,
so they
I
announced
understand.
it, but they didn't made it. They made it official, but they didn't really make the celebration and all that stuff that comes with it.
Well, congratulations on being a Hall of Famer, man. That's awesome. And
thank you, man. Thank you.
and very few people are in the conversation about the greatest of all time, right? I mean, who are we talking about? You hear John Jones, GSP, Khabib,
Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva,
I would say.
I think that
BJ Penn, Fedor Emelianenko. The problem, I think, guys, is that there's some of them that could be in the conversation, but they stay and hang out
They
way
fought
too
too
long
long.
past their prime in the sport, so they kind of tarnish their legacy, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that.
When I think about Silva or
Andre
BJ
Arlovsky.
Penn, they could have retired on top and been like the GOAT, but unfortunately they hang there too long, and that's a problem.
That makes perfect sense. And I was going to say the same thing about Anderson Silva. I feel like,
Who's on your list for the GOAT?
Well, there's a few. It depends for which reason. If you talk about the guy who changed the sport, who changed martial art, my number one GOAT is Royce Gracie.
Yeah.
He's, for me, the best of all time because he have done stuff for his time that I believe will never be repeated. However, if you ask me if I would put Royce Gracie in the UFC right now against the fighters of that era, I don't think he would do well. But for his era, he was the best. He was the best of all time. I believe the best fighters is not even born yet because records are made to be broken. If you talk about who's legitimately the real GOAT, I don't think he's born yet because the fighters of today are better than the one of yesterday, and the one of tomorrow, as good as they are today, as good as they are, they will be better in the future. And if you don't believe me, just because fighting is a very subjective thing, there's no instrument of measure. Just look at track and field, weightlifting, like the sport that you can measure. We always talk about, who's better, Tyson O'Malley or LeBron James or Michael Jordan or this guy. I believe generally speaking, the most recent athletes are always better, not because they're better person, because they have access to better technology and knowledge.
Okay, well, I think that if physical appearance was a factor, then you win.
He wins hands
down. You are gorgeous.
You're the GOAT for the best looking UFC fighter of all time.
I'm not sure about that.
I love telling guys
most gorgeous of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think another actually, all kidding aside, important criteria should be your outside of the octagon life, right? Like, I mean, as far as you don't have anything tarnishing your legacy for outside of fighting, and that's good.
Wow.
Right?
Look. I've done a lot of crazy shit. Like. Don't get wrong. I enjoyed my life. I had access to things that most people don't. I party a lot. I had a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I've done all my crazy stuff and I feel good. Why would I fight for if it would not be to enjoy it? I don't fight because I enjoy to fight. I fight because of the life that it gives me, the freedom that it provides me. And of course, I did a lot of crazy stuff. The problem is I know how to keep it down. I know how to keep it secret. You know what I mean? The problem is some guys, they have a bad entourage. They go out, party, and they lose their mind. And that's a problem,
I have a suspicion
I'm by no means a monk. Trust me.
Right.
I party a lot. I have a lot of fun. I didn't do it. I didn't cross certain lines.
Yeah.
No, I did not. But I had a lot of fun. Of course. Like some people, they think, I always follow a diet and this. I don't drink. Yeah, it's not true. I enjoyed my life. And my answer is, why would I fight all this time and have that career, that crazy career, if I couldn't enjoy it, the benefits of it. You know what I mean?
There's a famous line in Rocky when his trainer's like, women weaken legs, right? And so he didn't want Rocky to blow a load before his fight. Is that something common in like the UFC? Like before a big fight, are you just completely abstinent for as long as you can, or what's the are you blowing loads before you go into the ring to relax?
While we're on the subject of sex, Let me tell you that people have been asking me lately whether Blue Chew tablets really work. And I can confidently tell you, yes, they do. In fact, my girl Lux loves it so much when I take Blue Chew tablets that just the night before last, she called me upstairs.
Hey babe, I made you a little something to eat.
And I walk up there and there's just a plate with a Blue Chew tablet sitting on it. Ha! I love that, man. And what is a Blue Chew tablet? Well, it is a tablet which has the same active ingredients as both Viagra and Cialis, except it's chewable and costs only a fraction of the price. And to get it is very, very simple. You don't have to have a physical appointment in a doctor's office, which gets all kinds of awkward. No, you just go to bluechew.com and you consult with one of their medical providers right on there. It's very easy. And then voila, your Blue Chew tablets show up in the mail. What's even better than that is that I'm going to hook you up with an entire month's supply for free, a whole month. All you got to pay is $5 for shipping. That is, if you go to bluechew.com and use the promo code STEVO. So, now head on over there because this thing will give you the most outrageous boner you can even imagine. I'm telling you for a fact, I love boning my girl about a half an hour after I have a Blue Chew. And I mean it. So, one more time, bluechew.com, use the promo code STEVO, get a whole month's supply of Blue Chew tablets, and all you have to pay is $5 for shipping. Your boner will thank me. Now, let's talk about sex before the fight.
I got a theory on that, and it's not proven, but that's what I truly believe, because a lot of people ask me about that. I believe the more you do it, the more testosterone it is. So the more you do it, the better it is. The more you evacuate, the better it is, because your body will produce more. And however, I think it will raise your testosterone, and I don't think it's a good idea to do it the day of the fight. Of course not, but before or the day before, or I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
So you would think Scott was the most dangerous guy on the planet because he'll jack off like 9 times in a day.
Yeah, I did it before the podcast.
Yeah, you probably have a very high testosterone level.
I think so. I think so.
But that's the problem.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's actually a good thing.
Okay.
But that's why Scott can't fight anybody, because he can never go a day without jacking off.
It will probably fall the. You will probably fail the performance enhancing drug test. You know,
Right.
testosterone too high.
It's through the roof, dude.
I'm just
That's
kidding
right.
anyway. So I'm gonna go right into this. Right, you're known for believing in UFOs, for many experiences with aliens and UFOs, and now it's on CNN. They're saying UFOs are real. Like, do you feel like I've told you so for so long? I've been saying so, and now you finally believe me.
I never had experience with alien. When I was young, I did what psychologists call sleep paralysis. So it's a phenomenon that happened when it happened to a lot of people, and that's what they tell me, that when you sleep, you paralyze and your brain produces certain chemical that can make you hallucinate. I don't remember my experience, what happened. I remember that I had experience, but I didn't remember what really happened. But I remember that still now today, I have a fear of it. Even in the dark, like I'm a grown man, I'm 40 years old. And sometimes some remnants of it, it's in my head that I'm afraid, but I don't know why I'm afraid when I wake up in the middle of the night. But it could be, it's described as sleep paralysis. So, and for UFO, it doesn't mean UFO, it's an alien. We don't know. Like it's an unidentified flying object. And I think they changed the name now for UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. I mean, I personally believe, yes, I think if we think we're the only one in the universe, I think not that it's wrong, but we don't have the proof. But I think the universe is so big, there's probably life. I don't know if they came here, but it would not surprise me if they did.
All right.
Yeah. I mean,
I haven't even like been particularly, up in arms about it, but it seems pretty interesting that like it's mainstream media. The Pentagon is announcing UFOs are real.
The funny thing too is people are just like, oh yeah, okay. Like nobody's freaking out really. Like no one's. They're just kind of like soft lobbing us all this.
That's what surprised me the most. It's crazy. They talk about COVID, and this should be in the front page of every newspaper. I mean, imagine if maybe it's Chinese, maybe it's Russia. I don't know, but imagine if because they know now that it's intelligently controlled, whatever it is. The pilot talk about it and intentionally jam their radars. So that's mean it's intelligently controlled. It's not a phenomenal, like a random phenomenon from nature. Yeah, that's mean it's really something like legit, but we don't know what it is. It is, it's crazy. But imagine if we put our hand into this and we can back and engineer the technology. Mm-hmm. Now we spend like a lot of time and effort on fossil fuel and all that, all the energy that it could change a planet. I think that's the most rewarding thing about that stuff. It could change the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty fascinating. I mean, even with the Colonel Faber that was on everybody's podcast talking about the little tack. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they thought that China had this type of technology, like we'd be on like category 5 alert, but like because they don't know what it is, like no big deal. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And what about like sorry, go ahead.
I think the problem is there's a lot of conspiracy theory about it. So this subject has been ridiculed for so many times. It's when you want to hide something the best way is to hide it in plain sight, so to speak. You ridicule the subject, so everybody's afraid to talk about it because they will be ridiculed. Right. So I think I don't know if somebody knows, but I don't think the president of the United States, because it comes and goes every 4 years, so I don't know if a guy like this would know every secret. I would tend to say more someone from the KGB or the CIA or something like that. Maybe someone knows what it is, but I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's an exciting time to be alive.
So Dustin Poirier, he has the hot sauce, and Conor McGregor has the proper 12. And do you have like your own like business where you sell? You sell something?
There's a lot of stuff I have. Mostly in fitness. I have a platform called TrueConnectTV.fit, a program called Strike, and it's a platform that it's not only about fitness, it's about well-being. There's some help for mental issues on it. Some program is for the yoga, some are for track and field. My program is for martial art. I teach people how to fight while I keep them in shape and with some fitness exercise, a little bit like Taibo, but more for mixed martial art. It's a great platform. I'm also into Hydro Revolution. It's a new equipment that use the drag of the water to train. It really changed my life. So that's my thing. So I'm more into fitness than into alcohol and stuff. Maybe perhaps one day I'll do it, but not yet.
Right. Okay. So these are things that you're promoting. You promote the hydro. What's it called?
Hydro Revolution.
Yeah,
people
those
can
videos
check it out. It's a training device that you can use in the pool. Like instead of doing bench press and pull up, you can use 2 dumbbells in the pool. You use the drag of the water with it. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen the YouTube videos.
Send me your address. I'll ship you guys some. I'll ship you guys. You'll give it a try.
Cool. So everybody check out Hydro Revolution.
Yeah, because I've seen you on YouTube videos doing the swimming pool Hydro Revolution.
Exactly, and it's good for everybody, for older people, young people, athletes. A linebacker from the NFL can train with a lady who weighs 130 pounds, so it doesn't matter. It's because it's the drag of the water that makes the exercise. So the more you push, the more horsepower you put in it, the more you work. So you can't cheat with it. It's great.
Good.
That's cool.
And it's probably like you won't like you blow out your back if like you're bent over like lifting something, right? It's probably more safe on
Zero
your back.
Exactly.
gravity.
Yeah.
It does not load your joint, so it's
Yeah.
great because it keep your body healthy. You know, it's a great complement for a fitness, for training. However, by itself, it's if you want to be an elite athlete, it's you can't use it by itself. It's a great complement. It's very good for recovery, also for performance. But you need to do the real thing, like outside, and because you don't have, when you're in the water, you don't have the gravity that play against you. So it's important in real life you have the gravity that goes against you.
Yeah.
This is more for a side training, but it's a great complement. It's amazing.
Right. Good.
What question do you get the most at a bar? Like we were talking to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and people are like, he's like, people always want to come up to me and arm wrestle. Or I think Michael Bisping said, like, you know, do people come up to you and like always ask you to do something to them at a bar when you're drinking out in public?
Let me tell you that drinking out in public has always been one of my favorite things, before and after I became a sober guy. So what does it look like now? Well, I walk around with my tall boy of liquid death. And what is it? It's not a beer. It's the healthiest mountain water and sparkling water that you can find on the market. Why is it in a can? Because plastic bottles are for dickheads, man. They fill up the ocean, they ruin the world, and they're not even recyclable anymore. But these infinitely recyclable aluminum cans aren't just good for the environment. The water in them isn't just good for you, but it's a lot of fun. You know, I talked to the CEO of Liquid Death just yesterday, and he told me that he loves the idea of little kids in grade school showing up and drinking this in class to freak out their teachers, making them think that they're drinking a beer when they're just drinking innocent water. Because that's the kind of company this is, man. It's fun, it's healthy, and it cares about the environment. So much so that 10% of the profit from every can sold goes to bring death to the plastic. Yeah, dude, they donate it. Man, I love this company, dude. And I'm going to pound this right now. So, how do you get this? Well, you go to liquiddeath.com/Stevo, and you get free koozie with your first order of any case. Yeah, dude. Plus, the CEO, he skateboards too. Love the guy. So, yeah, man, one more time, for free koozies with your first order of any case of Liquid Death water, go to liquiddeath.com/Stevo. Get behind this company, please, because they're a lot of fun. Yeah, dude. Now, let's talk about what happens in the bars. They always ask me, will you kick me in the nuts? Everybody wants
Yeah.
everybody wants me to kick them in the nuts.
I I can understand why. There's a guy that I remember. And by the way, before, if I may, you know, you almost killed me one time. You guys with the jackass. I was eating a pizza like many years ago when I was watching your movie, and I remember you were. I don't know if it was you. You were wearing a jackstrap, and some alligator was trying to get some meat. That was you.
That was me,
dude. I was eating a pizza while I was watching it, and I almost got a stroke because you make me laugh so much. I almost died, man. I almost passed out.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
You almost killed me, like literally. And who's the one who fought Butterbean? Is
That's
that you?
Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville. Yeah.
Just snoring.
Yeah, snoring. Yeah, that was bad. Dude, what's wrong with my brain? What was the question that you just asked?
What question does he get the most?
Oh, yeah, what question does he get the most? Well, what do people do people ask you, choke me out?
No, what they do ask me is they come, for example, one or two guys, and they ask me is, hey, how long you think we could hang with you? And like how long we would last against you? And I don't know. I tell them, I'm like, well, I can't answer that question. And they say approximately. And I ask them, I say, it depends. Do you carry a gun? Do you have any weapon? They say no. Say, do you run fast? They say no. I'm like, yeah, maybe you wouldn't last very long.
That's a good answer.
You mean hanging out with you like in a fight?
Yeah, how long can we last fighting you?
Yeah.
How long would you last into a fight? Like if I decide to beat them up, how long they could be able to stand, you know?
Well,
So
that's like
it always depends of every individual, right?
Yeah.
well, that's like when Brendan Shaw was talking about, John Jones being the GOAT. He's like he can take out like 10 guys in a bar. And then I asked him, how many guys can Izzy Adesanya take out? He's like he can probably do like 8 just because of his size. How many dudes at a bar do you think you can fuck up before you get taken over?
Average guys.
Well, it always depends which kind of guy, like small guys who knows how to fight, guys who has weapon, and I was a doorman in a bar, and I'm gonna tell you something. We talk about street fight and MMA fight. These are 2 different things, like very different things. I remember sometime like even women were very hard to deal with because a woman, in a street fight, like she's gonna grab a bottle and a woman can hurt you just as bad as a man, and in a street, there's no rules. So the fact that you're a champion in mixed martial arts, it's not a 100% like guarantee that you will win the fight. You know what I mean? Anybody can come behind me, tap me on the shoulder, and if I don't expect it, throw a big punch and knock me out cold. Like what you don't see coming that's what knocked you out. Everybody can do it to me. I mean, to a certain extent. But what I'm saying is, in a street fight, the element of surprise is the most important thing. And I was bullied a lot when I was young, and one thing that I had to my advantage is that because I was a nice guy, I was never looking for trouble. I had the element of surprise because before that the fight happened, there's no referee that say go. There's something that needs to happen. There's someone that instigate the fight, and when you feel the heat rising too much, now because you're the nice guy, you're on the defense. He's the one looking for trouble. You have the element of surprise, and that gives you a big edge. It's like a head start. And if you know how to fight on top of that, your chance of winning are like almost 99.9%.
Wow.
So always throw the first punch.
Exactly. Always never be the aggressor. Always be the one who's, that's why to be a nice guy, to not look for trouble in a way. If you don't look for trouble and you know how to fight, you have a big, big advantage over anybody who comes to look for trouble with you because you have the element of surprise. I'm not talking about someone who does not know how to fight. Of course, if you don't know how to fight, you don't know how to deal with this situation. But if you do know how to fight, man, it's a huge, huge, huge advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Good, man. Do you watch every UFC? Or you don't always? Are you such a fan and you watch it all the time? Because I never miss a fight, man. I love it.
I watch all the big one, and also now that I am the French commentator for the sport channel in Canada.
Cool.
So because French is my first language, I'm sure you realize that my English is not very good. So
it's great.
French
man.
is my number one. So I do all the big shows, and I choose the one that I wanted to do. So I do all the big pay-per-views. I watched the last one was Oliveira against Chandler. I watched it. I commentated on TV.
I watched a YouTube video with you predicting who was going to win the Chandler Oliveira, but I forget who you picked. Did you?
Yeah, I made a mistake. I thought Chandler would have won, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, Oliveira did an amazing job.
Right.
I mean, it could have gone both sides. I mean, it was very, very, very tight.
It was very, very close to being over at the end of the first round. There's no question about that. And I was happy for the outcome because of Chandler was so overconfident. He says, "Oh, Oliveira, he doesn't have heart." That's a big insult to say a man doesn't have heart. He says when Oliveira feels my pressure, he's gonna question whether he wants to even fight. I'm gonna break his spirit. He's gonna have no gumption. Ooh, man, I felt really good for Oliveira to shut that shit up.
but you know the thing. What happened is that when you do those interviews to promote the fight,
course.
the interviewer they dig deep to try to make you say things.
Yeah.
To talk shit about your opponent.
Right.
I don't think you underestimate Oliveira. I think he was maybe pushed to say something like this because fights are promoted on emotions,
right?
But they are not one on emotions. Fights are one on mundane stuff that you do every day in training. And I a lot of time you have guys that will talk a lot of trash. They play mental warfare.
Yeah.
You know, and like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Like Nick Diaz. He was pretty good at that.
Exactly. Nick Diaz was good, but not the best. Michael Bisping was very good. Michael Bisping
really was good.
He was pretty good.
That was your last fight, Michael Bisping. Is that right?
Yes, Michael Bisping was pretty good, but he's actually a very nice guy. But when you get into a fight, the fight starts the minute you sign the contract, because now in the media, he's gonna make some crazy declaration and you're gonna have to prove him wrong in the ring and stuff like that.
I remember the press conference, the media for you and Michael Bisping, and I felt like, ooh, Michael Bisping, he won the press conference, but then you stuck it to him in the octagon.
Yeah, but you know what was the best promotion? The best thing we did promotion-wise for that fight, it was not even during the press conference. And I have to give it to Michael Bisping. We were in Toronto during a press conference, and he was talking shit to me, and I was answering back and forth. And I cannot win a trash talk contest with an Englishman because English is not my first language. And on top of that, I'm just not good at it. So of course he was talking trash and stuff like that. And we did the face off. And when we did the face off, he kind of came too close and he put his hand on me and I pushed him back. So after the press conference, we went our both separate ways and we went backstage in the truck. And we were backstage, and I remember there were kids that were coming up to me for autograph. And Michael Bisping, his limousine was parked not far away from mine. So he saw me backstage, and he saw that the TMZ was there as well. So he saw the camera, the TMZ camera. So right away he came into my face, right away in front of everybody, and he says to me, "Hey." And you can check that clip. It's on YouTube, I believe. You can check it. He goes like, "Hey, next time you put your 30 yen on me, I'm gonna swing at you." And I told him something like, "Yeah, like go ahead right now. Let's do it right now." And then we got separated by the Michael Bisping coach. So, but people really were really tuned into this, and these kinds of stuff makes the emotions coming out, and people want to buy the fight because fights are promoted on emotion.
Right.
So Bisping is a very, very clever guy. He knows how to promote the fight.
Did you know that when you had that fight that he could only see out of one eye?
No, I did not. I mean, I knew his vision from one of his eye was compromised, but I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know it was 100% like that. It's insane.
Yeah.
He's probably the toughest guy in the UFC ever. I mean it's
Tony Ferguson has been racking up some tough points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Tony Ferguson, Michael Bisping is not too far behind, I gotta say.
Right. Now, when I met Ronda Rousey, I was talking to Ronda Rousey. She was she was explaining something that Jean LaBelle told her. You know, Jean LaBelle, it's a judo master.
Yeah.
Jean LaBelle said to Ronda Rousey, she's telling me this. He says, I won every real fight, every REAL fight. I won, and I was broke. I had nothing to show for it. And then I got into movies, and every REEL fight, I lost, but then I could retire because I made so much money. So so with all the roles that you had with the Captain America, like you're like two Captain, that's got to be. Does that sound about right? What Gene LaBelle says that.
It's about right. And I also lost a fight on the big screen against Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal.
Right.
I mean, they're bad. Like they're not like the movie. It's. I didn't even watch it all myself, but there are movies that I've done in the past. But yeah, man, I've lost pretty much all the fight that I got into as an actor.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
So the Marvel movies pay better than the UFC.
No, that's not true. I made a lot more money in UFC. I made a lot more money in UFC. But however, there's guys. We only hear about the people who makes it. You know what I mean? Like you hear about McGregor, you hear about Jones, you hear about like I made it too. I made a great money. I have enough money now to live for the rest of my life, and I don't need money anymore. Yeah, no, it's seriously, and unless I do crazy, stupid stuff.
Yeah,
like there's always ways to do crazy stuff and lose everything. But I have more than enough to live 2-3 lives again. I'm very good. I'm very good, and then to take care of my family as well. But the sad thing about it is most of the fighters, they're not like that. Most of the fighters, they will finish broken and beaten and very bad. It's a very bad movie ending, for most of them. That's why when a parent come with his kids to me and introduce me his kids as, hey George, there's the future world champion. Do you have some advice for him? I always tell the kid, I say, you go to school? He say yes. I say, make sure you be good at school because this is the number one priority for you. Yeah, go train if you want, do boxing, MMA, basketball, but always be good at school because it's your assurance. If in case something doesn't work, at least you have an assurance. You can have a real job, because if you put all your eggs in the same basket and you only want to become a professional athlete, and if you reach the age of, for example, late 20s or 30s, and you realize that you cannot make it, damn, it's too late. You have nothing that you can fall into to catch up and make yourself for the money that you have lost. So I tell the kids, yes, try to make it big, try for a career, but stay at school. And it's same thing, not only in fighting. There's one on 100,000. Same thing in baseball, basketball, hockey, everything.
Yeah.
So the odds are very, very, very low for you to succeed. And it's not because I made it that I'm going to tell your kid to make it as well.
I think that's fantastic advice.
Mm-hmm. How much does a good manager play a part of all that? I mean, you're with Ali Abdelaziz, right? Like at a certain point, are they just sending you over the same contracts, or is he just kind of like helping you negotiate for more and more and more and more every time?
No, I'm with the CA, and I was lucky before I got with CA. I had advice from friends that were my friend before I was popular. So I always had great guidance, because a career of an athlete, especially in combat sport, it's not a straight line. And sometimes it's like when you play poker, you have to bluff. And I remember times that, man, I'm going to tell you the truth. My first fight in UFC, I made $3,000 plus $3,000 to win. My first UFC title fight against Matt Hughes that I've lost, I signed for $9,000 plus $9,000, and I lost that fight. So I made only $9,000. My first UFC fight. I made my first $1 million. I remember around my fight against John Fitch. And the reason why I made my first $1 million, I would not have made it if I would have not have played my card well. and my advisors would not have advised me well. So what I did is, the way it works in UFC, and if there's young fighters that listen to me, take some note, because it's very important what I'm talking about. If you want to retire money, to make enough money for the rest of your life and not be broke when you finish, pay attention to this. So UFC, they're not my friends. They're my employer, and they're there to make business. They run a business, and it's okay for me. So I have to look for the best of my interests. So the way it works in UFC is, when you sign a contract, normally they try to make you sign a contract for multiple fights. So you know how much you will make for your next fight, your next one if you win, and next one if you win, and your next one if you win. And let's say you sign for a 5-fight contract, you know how much those 5 fights will give you if you win. And normally, as you go in your career, that if you're successful, of course, that means your stock goes high. So when you're at your 4th fight and you have one more left, because your stock is high, they don't want to lose you. They don't want you to go to fight for other organization. So they want to keep you. So they don't want you to finish their contract. So before your last fight, they're going to try to renegotiate with you, and they're going to offer you something. However, it's up to you to make the right decision. And I remember I was in that situation at one point before my fight with John Fitch, and I was fighting for peanuts. You know, and when I say peanuts, I was making money, but not money as I was deserving. And I was in a dilemma, because I had one more fight on my contract, and my stock was high. I was the new rising star. I was the new champion, beating up everybody. And the money that they were offering me was not good. So for the what I've done, you know, for my level. So I had one more fight left, and I said, in their face, I had the courage to say, no, I'm going to end my contract after this one and see, try my chance to see to be a free agent, because I believe I worth more money, to see who can give me more. So what happened is, one day before I was going to fight, the day after the weigh-in, the UFC owner came and did another contract for me. So he gave me a contract and the money that I want, and that's when I made my first millions of dollars. But if I would not have had the balls to do that and hold on to this, I would have been paid peanuts for the rest of my life. But because it's a business, that's how it goes. You need to have the right advisors, that because fighting is not a straight line. Sometimes you need to put a poker face and say, no, I'm ready to take the fight and be a free agent after, to see who can give me more. But if you do that and your stock is high, it's always a chance, because you might lose your fight and your stock will be low. But if you do that and you're successful, and the UFC let you go, and when you're a free agent, now it's gonna be like an auction. Who give you more money? Mm-hmm. So the UFC don't want that, because they're the most prestigious organization. So they want to have the most prestigious, the best fighters. And if it's gonna make them look bad if they lose you to another organization. So you need to be aware of that. You know, but of course you need to win your fight. You need to be successful, of course.
Man, I wonder if Chandler losing, if that's like such great news for the UFC, because it shows that the UFC is the more prestigious, for the best in the world. Mm-hmm.
But it's always a gamble in a way that, let's say you're in a contract that you have signed a 3-fight contract, and you have won your first 2 fights, and now you're about to fight your 3rd fight. If the UFC think that you will probably lose your 3rd fight against the guy that they're gonna give you, they're perhaps not gonna try to renew your contract before. They're perhaps not gonna give you a good contract for to renew it. So, and it's up to you to know, hey, is it worth it that I take a chance and I become a free agent, or I want, you know what I mean? It's
right.
Mm-hmm. You have to think about it. It depends in every situation, but you need to have good advisors. And unfortunately in MMA, a lot of guys, they have very poor, very bad advisors. And I had a chance to grow up with guys that were my real friends. So they advised me very well.
So when you're coming up on that last fight in the contract, do you think the UFC makes that a very hard fight for you, so that you don't have that negotiating power? Do they play it like that?
Well, for me, I was the world champion, so they always brought me the best guy.
Yeah,
so no
that's
problem.
true.
I was at the time that I didn't care. I was ready to take on anybody, anytime, anywhere. I didn't care. I was very hungry. Bring it, no problem, my friend. I'm gonna take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for young fighters, like as it go up in rank, you need to be aware of that. I see some young guys, sometimes they sign contract for like 8-fight deal. I'm like, it's ridiculous. Because if your stock go up, you have no room of no power to negotiate because you already signed for 8 fights. So if you win your first 2 fights and you're very successful, your 6 other fight, that's mean the purse that you're gonna have is predetermined. Right. So you have no power. Mm-hmm, and a lot of guys that get caught with that sort of thing. It's foolish to think that everybody is well managed, because a problem is in basketball, in hockey, baseball, American football. They have a union that took care of the kids, because there's a plateau. There's codes, there is a rules, to follow. There's a guideline. We don't have any guideline in MMA, and that's why a lot of the athletes they're broke. They have no money, and it's very unfortunate for that.
Yeah. Wow. Fuck. So you went from making 9,000 to $1 million. That kind of jump.
Yeah, too. I made way past that in my last fight. Way past that in my last fight.
Good for you.
That's because Michael Bisping's Trash Talk.
We got 10 fingers holding up here.
About that, and with sponsorship and all that, all the deals I have, like about that, So just to show you that everything is possible, and you know what I mean? But you need to perform to be a good fighter first, of course. Otherwise, you're not gonna go nowhere. Right. But you need to be managed well. And I'm managed by CAA, in LA, and I had a lot of issues when I was young. Like everybody else, I had to go in court, and I was badly advised at first in certain times. But I always had two of my close friends that I have for a very long time. One was a stockbroker, and not a stockbroker. One was a real estate, not real estate, a stock broker guy, and the other one was a fiscalist and a lawyer. So they had other jobs in the past. They were not working for me, but they were always giving me good advice. And as time goes on, I had enough money that I hired them to be in my team and took care of me. And then we went with CAA all together, and that's how everything happened. But I was very lucky. So because when you start to make a lot of money, a lot of people gonna come to you, and there's a lot of sharks. And fighting, it's a world of shark, my friends. I'm telling you, it's very bad. You cannot trust nobody in that.
Do you still have a relationship with Ali?
Oh yeah, Ali is a friend of mine. Ali, I know him when I was poor. I didn't have money. I stayed in his house in New York. Ali is a good friend of mine. We text each other sometimes. Yeah, Ali is a manager. He does not manage me, but he manages other fighters. He managed Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
He managed a lot of the guys, Cameroon. He's got a great team.
G.O.A.T.
Man, I'd like to link up with him.
Yeah,
I think I've got some funny ideas.
When the UFC gives you a $10 million paycheck, I mean, maybe it wasn't all at once, but like do they give you a breakdown of where it's from, or is it just a check?
Well,
like pay-per-views or
the way it happened is they don't give you one check. The way it happened in MMA, like the way it happened for me, you can negotiate. Depend your level of power, of course. If you're, it's always depend. It's different from every fighter. But you have enough power that you can demand, a purse to win. You can demand a percentage of the gate. You can demand pay-per-views, because when I used to fight, it was we made a lot of money. The most of money I made, it was through pay-per-view buys. So I was paid to fight as a purse, but the most of money came later. It was during the pay-per-view buys, because it was making me a partner So I was also a partner of the company. I was not only an employee, I was a partner because I had a good argument. I was telling them that because of me, a lot of people gonna watch the show. And if you make money, it's fair that I make money too, because I'm bringing a lot of people to buy the pay-per-view. So, but that's how I used to. The system was different when I used to fight than it is now.
Well, now every world champion, if you're the champion, then you get a percentage of the pay-per-view for every champion.
Well, not everybody. And now I believe the structure has changed because the pay-per-view now is ESPN. I don't think that the fighters has as much power now that they used to be. So like before, when I was fighting earlier in my career, we were allowed to have a lot of sponsors, and we got paid a lot of money. Now there's a Reebok deal.
Right. And then now it's Venom.
So that's why, when I came back to fight Michael Bisping, one of the arguments that I was, we were saying with my team and I were like, hey, you pay us a certain amount of money, but don't forget that I lost money because before I used to get my sponsor. Now I don't get paid for this. So Reebok need to pay me, or whatever I'm going to wear need to pay me that amount of money. So you need to fight for every inch of it. I don't do that. It's not my job. It's not my, that's not what I'm good at. I'm not, I'm not qualified to do that. I have very qualified people that do that for me. And I think a fighter, one of his jobs, I think it's important that he choose carefully his team, that he hire people that he can trust, but also people that are qualified to do the job to represent him well.
So your advice to John Jones would be take the Stipe fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, anybody's fucking advice to John Jones would be take the Stipe fight. What are you thinking?
I think he should fight I think Jones should fight the champion, not Stipe. I think he should fight Francis Ngannou, the champion.
Okay, but that's not a possibility anymore. So
why not? Because he doesn't want to take the 30.
Well, because they're gonna book Derek Lewis and Ngannou. So and then like what John Jones wants to do is wait for the winner of Derek Lewis and Ngannou so that he's fighting for the championship. And maybe we disagree, George, but I think if he does take the Stipe fight, and he can win it, then he's earned everybody's respect. He gets 2 fights, like you can beat Stipe. Now it's like, wow, you won at heavyweight. Like this is crazy. Like now we take you very seriously. Now we're really paying attention. Now we really even more want to see you fight for the.
But why
belt.
wouldn't Izzy fight the number 2 guy? Like why would Izzy go up and fight the champion right away?
I believe if I'm John Jones, because this what we talk about, that's what we talk about. It's like chess game, because these are big important decisions that you make, and because fighting, there's no way. It's always a question of odds. Doesn't mean if you think you're gonna beat one guy, doesn't mean that even if the odds favor you, doesn't mean that you're always gonna win. And I think it would be a mistake for John Jones to fight Stipe. I not because I believe John Jones will beat Stipe, but however, why taking the risk of fighting Stipe when you can wait and fight for the champion if you can, and collect 2 belts. And then after, John Jones is the greatest of all time. If he does that, he can run off to the sunset. Sunset, his stock will be as high as more higher than anybody ever. And another world will open for him, as he retired. He could do whatever he wants. The problem is guys, they hang there in a sport for too long. They are considered the best, but they hang there for too long. So now their stock goes down, and they retire as their stock are down. So when they retire, the door does not open for them because they're already broke. You know what I mean? Their stock is bad.
Yeah.
So that's why you should retire on top, and everybody keep fighting for different reasons. I do not like to fight personally. I did it because it gives me my life, my freedom, and I love it. I never liked to fight. I never enjoy it 1 second. I hate it. It was not knowing if I was going to be badly hurt or humiliated. For me, it's unbearable. That's why I'm a big fan of you guys, what you guys do in the Jackass movie. You guys are completely insane and doing it for fun. I wish I could be like that. I mean, you guys are completely insane.
I don't do it for fun at all. I do it for attention. I'm an attention whore. I love these drinking.
Man.
He's the best. Dude.
George St-Pierre.
Yeah. I love that. Hey, what are you thinking about on a world title fight? The cage closes. Are you just zoned in on like different moves and techniques, or are you just kind of just waiting for the bell to go? Like, what's going through your head before they go ding, ding, ding? And do the nerves stop at the first punch, or do they kind of just what's that? I mean, I just can't imagine being in the cage.
If you want, I'm gonna give you a little tour of how I live through the week leading up before a fight.
Awesome.
Because it start for me. It start much earlier than that. It start when I signed the contract, even before I signed the contract, because I'm thinking, I'm watching one fight and I'm like, maybe I'm gonna fight this guy or this guy. Normally, when you're a champion, you know who you're gonna fight next. You know the possibilities. You know that you're gonna fight the winner of that fight. So you're gonna pay attention to the fight that's gonna declare the number one contender. So your butterfly is already started. And as you watch the fight, you start making scenario. If this guy I'm gonna do this. If this guy, I'm gonna do this. So you see your brain already start. For me, because I'm obsessive compulsive, that's how it works. Then when you know who you're fighting, now you know who you're going up against, you right away start making out scenarios in your head. As much as you think about sex in your life, in your head, I was thinking about sex as well, but I was thinking about fighting, like just as much. And the closer you get to the fight, the more you think about it. And it become like a mental disease, an obsession, because sometimes when you have some visions, and sometimes you see yourself winning, and sometimes you don't. You see yourself in trouble. But the thing is, when you see yourself in trouble, for me, one of the trick I have to stay positive and all that and control my stress level is when I see myself losing, I don't let go on that negative thought. I force myself to think of how I'm going to take back the upper hand of that situation and turn it to my advantage. And then I can let go my thought and do something else in my life. And these thoughts before a fight, and I'm talking about like 2 months, sometimes 2 months, even a month, 2 months, all the way to the fight will hunt you. It hunt me like crazy every second, every minute of my existence. When I'm driving my car, when I'm eating, before I go to bed. And it's get worse as the fight goes on. It get worse, and it weighs very heavy on my shoulder, and it's crazy. It drives me nuts, especially the week of the fight, because you get into press conference, and when you promote a fight, you get to see your opponent, and the print that he left in your brain and the scar that he left because he's talking to you, stuff that he's saying get really to you on an emotional level. So you start making imagery, not only about the fight, but what you're going to say to him. And if you say that, how you're going to answer back and everything. So everything, it's like a fight. And it gets worse. And the week of the fight, you have to lose weight. And when you lose weight, it's not a pleasant experience. And when I'm cutting weight, it's very hard. Sometimes you want to give up, you want to get out of the sauna. But I'm thinking that my opponent is right next to me, and I'm not allowed to show any weakness. So until I've made weight, I don't show any weakness. Then I make weight, I go to the weigh-in, and I'm going to tell you the truth. The night before the fight, I never sleep well. Never. I never sleep well because there's too much scenario in my mind that is it's hunting my mind. I cannot sleep. I'm turning in my bed. But if you do this, I'm going to do that. And then I'm turning. And then sometimes I see myself winning. Sometimes I don't. And I have to force myself to finish on top. It's an obsession. It drives me nuts. So I sleep very, very little the few nights before the fight because I'm going nuts. So the day of the fight, when I wake up, I always tell myself the same thing. I always feel like shit. And I'm always like, man, I don't feel good today. I feel like shit. Like, man, I don't know. Probably because I don't sleep well the night before. And I thought at one point when I was young that this would go away. And with the experience, I will be able to feel better with that. But it's getting worse every time because every fight is bigger than the last one. And with time, you realize that it's normal. And that stress, that fear, you cannot let it consume you, because fear is like fire. It can help you cook your food, but it can also burn you. And I know that fear and stress will help me to increase my reaction time, my decision-making time. So it's my friend, and I embrace it. I want to be afraid, because I know if I'm not afraid, that's me that does not care about what's going to happen. And I might not be fighting at the best of my abilities. So I'm going crazy the whole time. I'm going nuts. But as a team, it cannot be any weak link, so I have to showcase confidence in front of my trainer. So when they ask me, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yes, man, I'm ready to go. I can't wait, man. It's going to be fun. Can't wait. Even though deep down inside, I'm lying because I'm scared as hell.
Fuck.
And I'm very uncomfortable. I'm terrified. Because I'm thinking, I'm like, man, maybe I'm going to be humiliated or something. I'm going to get knocked out, cold. But this fear makes me be better and perform at my best. So all that day that I'm fighting is the longest day of my life. It's crazy because so much stress going on until I go to the locker room. And when you go to the locker room, for example, in my last fight against Michael Bisping, it was crazy because it was like my locker room was cursed. All my training partner was getting knocked out. All the guys from my team were getting knocked out. They were all coming back in the locker room, all messed up, all like with an ice bag on the head, like knocked out. Like it was bad. So I was like freaking out. I started thinking to myself, I was like, man, maybe it's a bad day. Maybe we're cursed, or even though I'm not superstitious, I'm like, man, maybe in my gym, what we do is not right. Maybe we don't do the right thing, and we you know what I mean? We're all has been, maybe things we're not as good as we think. Maybe we need to change our methods. And then the fight get close. Then you watch the fight on TV, and you never know. You try to predict at what time you're gonna go on. You're the last fight, so you see some guys getting knocked out, and you're like, okay, now I need to warm up because it's coming out soon. And as you warm up, it changed something in your mind, because when you start hitting the pads, it makes your confidence grow. And the scare guy that I was before now start to disappear, because I'm starting to get confidence, because it remember the mechanic of my movement, the perfection of my punches and my technique and everything, and make me remember how good I am. And oh yeah, I can do that well, like now I remember how good I am, how much I'm a beast in the gym, how much the sacrifice I've done to be here, how much I took care of myself for that preparation, how much hardcore sparring I had. I'm sure he didn't have the hardcore sparring that I had to go through. I'm sure he didn't make the sacrifice that I did. I'm sure he didn't fight those beasts that I had to fight during my training camp. I had to go through hell to my training camp. I'm sure he didn't go through the same hell that I did. Start make you remember this thing. Then you became a different person. And then times fly, and now there's someone in the UFC that come knock at your door and say, hey, St-Pierre, you're up next. So when that moment come, I have a little ritual that I do. I go in the bathroom. I look myself in the mirror. I'm alone. And only my coach knows what I'm doing. And I'm looking myself in the mirror, and I try to make my confidence go. And I'm talking to myself. I'm not a cocky person in public, but I'm trying to be in private. When I'm talking to myself, I'm telling myself, like, I'm stronger than him. I'm better than him. I'm more well prepared. I'm way more athletic than he is. I went through hell. I'm a much, much better fighter. I'm going to win this fight. I'm going to show these young kids that lose their fight tonight how things should be done. And I'm going to show them that I'm the fucking king in this gym. I'm going to give the example. And then I'm kicking out the door, and I'm a different person than when I came. So the George St-Pierre that you see now today is not the same than the one that he's going to fight and is about to step in the octagon. And when I kick the door and I'm about to do my walk, Now it's on cruise control. I don't have time to think, because if I think, I miss the opportunity. I miss, and I can get clipped. So it's all about cruise control. It's like when you play golf, you hit the ball is in the air. There's nothing you can do to change the result of the fight, to change the outcome, because all my work is done. Now the only thing I can do is to do it, to let myself go with the cruise control, to trust my instinct. That's how it goes.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
This guy's the man,
Amazing.
dude.
I love it.
So is it kind of you're
So
kind of
people are like, oh, how come you don't like to fight? Yeah, I don't like to fight because the person I am now is different than the person that is getting ready to step into the octagon. We're both different human beings.
so you're operating a lot off of instinct in the in the fight. So are you ever like 3 seconds later you're like, oh wow, I just blocked a really cool like you don't even realize what's happening as it's happening. You're on a delay, like your brain is on a delay almost.
Now, this is after when you watch the tape, because what happened is in training, you do so many repetition. You drill certain techniques 1,000 times. So it become like an automatic in your brain. It's an action reaction. You know, when you have a certain action, you give the reaction in order to give you the upper hand in the fight. And you drill that so many times that it become automatic. So when you fight, you're on cruise control. Everything you do, it's a reflection of what you've been working on through the past 10 years of your life. And I say 10 years, maybe past 30 years, because I start when I was a kid, you know? So there's no accident, I believe. Everything happened because of a reason, because your reaction, everything is a cause and effect, you know? And that's how it goes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting when they interview. I saw G.O.A.T walking back to his locker room after the Ferguson fight, and they were like, "Man, it's crazy! Like you threw some leg kicks in there." He's like, "I fucking threw some leg kicks in there, like holy shit!" Like he didn't even remember. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like an out-of-body experience.
You're on cruise control. For me, I remember in one of my fights, I came back. It's a 5-round fight. When you fight for a championship, it's 5 rounds. I was fighting Johnny Hendricks. After my 3rd round, I got rocked in my 3rd round. After the 2nd round, I got rocked in the 2nd round. So I go back in the stool, and my cornermen are like, "Hey, George, this is the final round. It's 2-2. This is the 5th round. Is the one that gonna win this round, gonna win the fight. So this is a decisive round. You have to give everything you got. You know, if you want to stay champion, you have to give it all." And I look at the guy, I'm like, "Guys, you're making a mistake. It's the 3rd round." And they're like, "No, George, it's the 5th round." And I look at the screen, I'm like, "Shit. Yeah, it's the 5th round. It's because I got rocked. I lost time."
Wow.
oh my god.
So
dude.
I was on cruise control that whole time. So that's why I mean, it's a normal thing. We're on survival mode. You can say I play baseball, I play soccer, play basketball, but you don't play fighting. And this is something that we all have inside of ourselves. I can put anybody in a situation that he's going to have to fight, either to protect himself or to protect someone that he loves. I can put everybody. I don't care, the nicest person. I can put it in a situation like my mother, who's the nicest person I know. I can put her in a situation that she would be forced to fight in order to protect her kids. She will. She cannot do it well, of course. She's not a fighter, but she will. So fighting, we can all relate to it because it's something that we all have to do at least once in our life. You know, like it's something that we can relate. It's in our most basic instinct. That's why it's not like playing basketball. It's fighting. It's different. And the proof of that, if you don't believe me, look at what happened if you go watch a basketball game or a baseball game and a fight breaks out in the crowd. You will stop watching the game and look at the fight because the fight is threatening. It's threatening you. it has something different, a different appeals to what is going on as a game. Maybe you don't like that sort of entertainment, and it's not an entertainment that is made to everybody, but everybody can relate to fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So on the platform where you teach people the MMA, where this is, you say you can put people in these situations, and that's how you do it on the platform. You put people in the situations on the platform when you teach people.
Yeah, what I do is I teach them the basic fundamentals of mixed martial arts. So what they do, they can train like a fighter, the same movement that we do, except they don't have to get the same damage that we have to get when we're training for a fight. You don't get brain damage, so they can train. They can repeat the same movement, and I explain the details of how to do it well.
And how do
they stay in shape at the same time.
And how do people get this training from you? How do they find the platform? This is
it's called True Connect, TV.fit. It's on your cell phone. You can download it, TV.fit. And my program is called Strike.
TV.fit.
Fit. My program it's Strike. There's many other programs. There's like yoga, there's stuff for track and field, like whatever. But my program it's Strike, like a strike.
Okay, good.
Do you have a program on there to teach guys how to pick up on chicks? Because I feel like you got all those dialed in, man.
That maybe would be my next one.
For sure.
All right. So we send people to George St-Pierre Strike on fit.tv. TV.fit.
Yeah, TV.fit.
TV.fit. And we send them to buy Hydro Revolution.
Yes, sir. Hydro Revolution. And you can have the GSP bundle, and you can go to TV.fit, the program Strike.
Okay. And what about your social media?
My social media it's George St-Pierre. It's on Instagram at George St-Pierre. No dash for the Instagram.
All right, good, man.
What an amazing conversation. What an amazing person, man. So cool.
And on his birthday.
Yeah, I feel like it's our birthday.
Right. It's really,
man.
We got to do this on your birthday.
I'm very glad to talk to you guys. It was a pleasure.
Hey, man, the pleasure is ours, and thank you so much, man. Yeah.
Man, keep doing what you guys do. You look great. Steve, you look great, man. In fact, I'm glad a guy like you normally could have died maybe 25 times, but I'm glad you're looking good and everything, man. You guys are good.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Right on. Man, GSP, dude. Just telling you how it is, man. I really like that guy. And I love the UFC, man. And I love Liquid Death. That's all I got. Fuck yeah, man. Thanks for hanging around until the end.